All right, so in your face, self righteous vegan activists like to approach the general public, hoping to get those meat eaters, those poor, unprepared meat eaters, and ask questions and also fill them with a bunch of bullshit science that's not accurate, that paints the picture that animal nutrition is ruining the environment. It's unethical. We're basically murderers. Now, if the question of the ethicality of slaughtering animals for the sustenance of human beings, if that question is posed and they ask, do you think it's ethical? I think that the answer to that question would be based on whether plant-based or a fully vegan diet allows humans to be optimal, vibrant, and to thrive and to pass on a healthy offspring for the next generation and the propagation of our species. Now, if a vegan diet, if a plant-based nutrition was able to meet all nutritional requirements, we are talking about essential vitamins, water, fat-soluble vitamins. We are talking about the essential fatty acids and the complete proteins, all right? We're talking about cholesterol. We're talking about all the stuff that a human being needs nutritionally. Now, it is quite ethical to slaughter and eat animals because I believe that unfortunately we don't live in La La Land and we are carnivorous. Human beings have the adaptability because we're top of the food chain, alpha predators. We are highly adaptable. And therefore, during times of scarcity, we have the ability, unlike obligate carnivores, to eat carbohydrates from plants to sustain ourselves because carbohydrates are strictly calories. Now, I know that around 10 to 12,000 years ago, the agricultural revolution arrived, and it's at that point that we truly started to incorporate plant material and grains, etc., into the food chain. Now, if we study any of the history of that time anthropologically, we would see that there was a decrease in the stature of human beings, a decrease in the bone density, a decrease in the bone development. And this was directly related to the incorporation of plant-based material. We are not a plant, we are flesh, and therefore when we eat flesh of other animals, we are absorbing the nutrients in the most bioavailable form. So let's look at why I think it's actually unethical to push a vegan agenda on the world. Looking at specific vitamins, let's start with the fat-soluble vitamin A. Vitamin A is used to keep our skin healthy, our eyes functioning very well, teeth, connective tissue healthy. It is a fat-soluble vitamin that must be absorbed with fat, which tends to be an issue with fat-phobic plant-based people. The beta-carotene is the form of vitamin A that is in plants. It is poorly bioavailable. Beta-carotene is converted anywhere from 65% down to 5%. That's a pathetic 5%. If you live in a vegan, plant-based world where you no longer can consume animal sources of food, a person with a genetic predisposition to being a poor converter of beta-carotene into vitamin A will be either very sick or forced to buy supplementation and eat packaged food that is fortified, that, as we know, is most of the time killing us and toxic. When looking at the fat-soluble vitamin A, we have the right to consume a source of vitamin A that is bioavailable and well absorbed into our bodies so that we may have healthy bones, healthy skin, healthy eyes, and healthy connective tissue. Beta-carotene, which is the source of vitamin A, it is a prohormone that must be converted. Beta-carotene is poorly converted anywhere from 65% to 5% in the general populations. Therefore, if you live in a vegan world, in a plant-based world where animal consumption for sustenance is no longer authorized, that means that you are subjecting that person to a fat-soluble essential vitamin A deficiency, or you are forcing that person to become dependent on supplementation and companies and prepackaged food. So my answer to my vegan friend is I think it's highly unethical to subject a large amount of the global population, poor converters of beta carotene from plant sources. It is unethical to put such a large population in danger of nutritional deficiencies relating to vitamin A, and also forcing, in a world that is a vegan world, forcing a human to consume supplements and packaged food, because that would be the only way for deficient people to acquire vitamin A, to be dependent again on other people and big business. Essential fatty acids, omega-6 and omega-3, are essential because our body needs them and cannot produce them. Therefore, they must be acquired through our diet. The issue is that vegans believe that by eating chia seeds, walnuts, etc., that they're able to acquire through ALA a conversion into EPA and DHA. While this is true, the conversion rate, as you can see, is extremely low. So when they're eating the ALA, considering that omega-3, it's converted only to 3.8% with the DHA and 6% with the EPA. Now, most people, meat eaters included, but especially plant-based people, are full of omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are very abundant. It's the primary fats in all plant-based nutrition. Therefore, the conversion would be further reduced. So make that 3.8 half and make that 6 down to 3. Now, don't forget that this is only the absorption rate, which is quite poor, and the conversion if there are saturated fats. So we know that a fat-phobic recommendation, and most people that are vegan that are fat-phobic, this absorption is even worse. Now, I have the right to fill my brain with the needed fatty acids, fill my hormones. I have the right to have access to bioavailable, good quality, abundant omega-3 fatty acids from cod liver, fatty fishes, or eggs, etc. And also eating a wide variety of animal products, animal source foods, etc., that have a blend of omega-6 and 3 that also guarantee I can't overconsume my omega-6 because I will never touch seed oils. However, in a vegan world, example, Beyond Meat and plant-based stupid fake foods all have omega-6. Now, if they're going to start trying to make this stupid lab meat, what kind of fat do they think they will be adding? They'll be trying to add and imitate animal fat with the omega-6, probably hydrogenated seed oils. All right? They are not thinking clearly. They don't realize that the majority of the nutrients are within animal fats. Animal fat is extremely nutritious. Without it, we're not absorbing our fat-soluble vitamins. I mean, in all fairness, vegans would technically be able to get a very good source of omega-3 through algae. But again, we're not living all near the ocean or ponds or wherever this damn algae grows, licking rocks and sucking, pond scum. Therefore, if veganism was pushed on the rest of us, it would just be another algae supplement. So I want to take a look at this article that I found to kind of nail home some of the points that we're trying to make about why it's ethical to eat meat. Well, let's just look at the kind of supplementation that's required with these whole food, nutritious, nutrient-dense, plant-based vegan diets that require frickin' supplements. So 5 key supplements for a vegan and vegetarian to thrive on a plant-based diet. So many people think that a healthy diet should supply all the nutrients you need for optimal health. And that's basically true. No, moron. It has to be true, or else it's not a healthy diet. Idiots. But due to the realities of our modern times, a large number of plant based eaters aren't getting specific nutrients from plant foods, and failure to get these nutrients can cause serious consequences. So, I have a right to make sure that I am not putting myself in any serious nutrient deficiencies with serious consequences. They've just admitted that because of these modern times, that we are in danger if we're doing these plant-based diets. We need supplementation. However, with my animal-based diet, eating sufficient amount of eggs, eating organ meats, eating cod liver, eating fatty cuts of meat, etc., rotating my animal sources of food, and eating a wide variety, I can accomplish, even in modern times, all of my nutrients, fatty acids, and proteins. Everything I need to thrive, I can meet with animal-based nutrition. If you remain deficient in B12 for many years, you could develop anemia and neurological issues. For vegans and vegetarians and people eating a plant-based diet without animal products, if you're not supplementing with B12, research shows you have a danger of ending up being deficient. So technically, vegans might use the argument that they could eat dirt because there's B12 in there. And just like they use the stupid excuse that, well, technically I can get my omega-3s if I stand around licking algae in ponds and rocks. So if you want to eat dirt and you want to lick algae, then that's fine. Don't frickin' force it upon everyone else. Don't force us to do a stupid vegan diet and then after be dependent on getting our supplements every month from big companies cashing in on this stupid way of eating. So what about vitamin D in foods? Vitamin D is naturally present in very few foods. The flesh of certain fatty fish and some fish liver oils contain small amounts of vitamin D. It's fortified foods, such as fortified milk products, that provide most of the vitamin D in an American diet today. Well, here's an example of eggs. So I eat anywhere from 4 to 8 eggs a day. Now, if you look at the nutritional information of each eggs, we see that 15% of the recommended daily allotment for vitamin D is 15%. Therefore, if I have a couple of eggs, 6 or so, I'm basically accomplishing all of my vitamin D needs, not even having to worry about absorbing it from the sun. Now, a plant-based diet cannot do this. Okay, guys, listen. Because we consume so much freaking omega-6 fatty acids, the fat within our skin is highly omega-6. It oxidizes the shit out of our skin, causes sunburns and mutations and therefore cancer, forcing us to cover up our skin with sunscreen. I used to wonder about that. I used to say, God, why are white skinned people so not well adapted? We literally burn like lobsters when we go out, Yet I remember, our great grandparents working in the fields, the farmer tans, their arms super dark, even though they were white people. Okay. So the issue is that white skinned people are supposed to be able to walk uncovered to absorb vitamin D from the sun. But because we have a high omega-6 oxidizing fat within our skin, we must cover ourselves up or avoid the sun. Now, in a vegan world, we have zero access to any animal source vitamin D. We are stuck with a large amount of omega-6, making us prone to sunburn, forcing us to not allow vitamin D to be absorbed directly from the sun because we have to cover up. How is that good, guys? How is that awesome? Everything falls apart. Again, you just have to avoid the sun. You're going to burn like a lobster and you're going to have to supplement. Booyah. So listen, guys, we got the same issue occurring with vitamin K. So we got vitamin K1 that has to do with coagulation, makes your blood clot. So in animal sources, we do get K1 as well as K2. Some of the K1 can be converted into K2 in the gut. So if you are a vegan, then it's the K1 that you are consuming is okay. That's dealing with your coagulation factors. And then you have to rely on the K1 getting converted into K2 because you don't have access to the dairy products. You don't have access to the egg yolks, to the cheese, and etc. There's other things like pork chops, bones, with the one with the bone. There's other K2 sources, so it's not just limited to what's written here. Now, if you are a vegan, okay, the only way you can get K2 reliably would be to ingest fermented soybean because the bacteria in the fermentation of the soybean creates K2. So again, you have to depend heavily on fermented soybean to get it, or else you're going to be in big trouble. You're going to be deficient in vitamin K. Vitamin K is super important, guys, because it actually tells calcium where the heck to go. If you don't have enough K2, calcium will go wherever the hell it wants, and it could go and calcify your arteries. Look, this can go on and on, all right? I can go through almost every single... we could just go through so many more, and this could take like 3 hours, this video. What I'm trying to get at is that just because it says it has zinc on the label doesn't mean it's in a form that's absorbable by our body. For example, when zinc in plant foods are bound to phytates, then they're not easily absorbed. So all throughout the plant kingdom, all of these things, for example, if you ever look at spinach, it says 300% of vitamin A. Yeah, but that's beta carotene, and we know this converted sometimes as low as 5%. So it's very, very deceptive. For vegetarians who eliminate meat, anemia can be due to an iron deficiency. For vegans who give up all animal products including dairy, eggs, and even honey, anemia can also be caused by a vitamin B12 deficiency. And that's the other thing. These vitamins don't work solo. They work together. You know, vitamin D3, vitamin K, it works with calcium and where calcium should go. If there's a deficiency, things go out of whack. It's all teamwork here. And when you start getting one deficiency, it's kind of like the minerals. One goes out of whack and it starts unbalancing everything else. The reason, again, spinach, oh, Popeye, iron, makes you strong. No, very, very poorly absorbable, attached to a form that is extremely hard for your body to absorb. So if there's so much iron in spinach and all these vegans are eating spinach smoothies, why the frick are they all fucking anemic? Just further nailing the point home. Anemia risk for vegans and vegetarians. Just Google it. It's all over the place. It's well known that they suffer from issues with anemia. That's because animal iron is heme iron, well absorbed. Raw spinach contains oxalates. Oxalates, they naturally bind with minerals like calcium and iron, for example, making them harder for the body to absorb. Cooking spinach can help unlock these iron absorption inhibitors and hence increase iron bioavailability. Yeah, you could do that or have a frickin' steak and then absorb it because animal sources of iron is heme iron. You know, like hemoglobin, it's in a perfect form, easily bioavailable. Or you can ferment, sprout, soak, and all the other processes that is required when you want to do beans or legumes or all those vegetables. Yeah, talk about whole food. It's whole food, yet it's not bioavailable. So that's just marketing hype. Okay, animal sources of nutrition is whole food. Why most iron in spinach is useless. Seriously? Screw you, Papa, you lying son of a beep. Anyways, firstly, the form of iron found in spinach is non-heme, which is generally poorly absorbed in the gut compared to heme iron from animal sources. Secondly, spinach has such high levels of oxalic acid. This acid is naturally present in vegetables and binds with iron, which blocks its absorption in the gut. Hence why they're all anemic. So here we got Dr. Greger. All the vegans know Dr. Greger. I guess the expression "you are what you eat" certainly applies here. This gentleman, in my opinion, does not look like a gentleman in his 40s that is thriving. Does not look like he has a normal amount of muscle tone. It looks like he's living off of the water in those vegetables and fruits and the fiber, because we know, we've just gone through it, that there's not that many nutrients being absorbed. So Dr. Greger over here, if you notice, there's 0 fat in that plate. That means that the poor amount of possible vitamins that are fat soluble won't even get absorbed. So we, if we open our eyes and we're honest to ourselves, and we look at Dr. Greger, I don't consider him a vibrant man aging well that is the perfect epitome of health. If that's what I'm supposed to look like, I'd rather, just continue my unhealthy diet and look damn good while I'm having a heart attack. All right, because anecdotal evidence, when I look at my body, when I look at the muscle mass increasing, when I look at the increased vascularization, the clearing of my skin, when I look at the changes in pictures, if looking this good compared to what I looked like before, okay, is killing me, then you know what? I'm ready to go. I am ready to go. So when looking how we're supposed to process legumes and certain plants and stuff like that, here's an example in this article. High heat, especially when boiling, can degrade anti-nutrients like lectins, tannins, and protease inhibitors. Also, sometimes we have to ferment, like the fermented soybean. That needs to be fermented or else there's toxins. You sometimes have to sprout these things. Sprouting is a period in the life cycle of plants when they start emerging from the seed. The natural process is also known as germination, and this process increases the availability of nutrients in seeds, grains, and legumes. So sometimes you have to freaking sprout the damn thing so that you can get the nutrients inside. Soaking beans and other legumes are often soaked in water overnight to improve their nutritional value. Most of the anti-nutrients in these foods are found in the skin. Since many anti-nutrients are water soluble, they simply dissolve when foods are soaked. So I hope I'm making the point clear that these healthy greens, okay, are not as freaking innocent as everyone's making them out to be. So here's the bottom line. Soaking legumes in water overnight may reduce the phytate, the protease inhibitors, the lectins, and the tannins. However, the effect depends on the type of legume. Soaking may also decrease oxalate in leafy vegetables. I mean, does that sound like something you want to stuff in your face when you could get everything that's in that in animal sources without these issues? Protease inhibitors, widely distributed among plants, especially in seeds, grains, and legumes. They interfere with protein digestion by inhibiting digestive enzymes. Guys, this is what you guys are eating. So even the good protein now is having issues because of the healthy greens that you're eating. Calcium oxalate, the primary form of calcium in many vegetables, such as spinach. The calcium bound to oxalate. Wow, big surprise. It's a poorly absorbed. Go freaking figure. We also got some phytate, mainly found in seeds, grains, legumes. Phytate reduces the absorption of minerals from a meal. These include iron, zinc, magnesium, calcium. I mean, guys, you don't get any of these issues, and you got all of these minerals available in animal sources. Tannins, a class of antioxidants, phenols that may impair the digestion of various nutrients. Now, we're always hearing about, oh, it's good, it has antioxidant, it has phenols. Yeah, I know. Doesn't mean they're good. They also have bad things that are happening, and people think that they're great. Lectins, these are found in all food plants, especially in seeds, legumes, and grains. Some lectins may be harmful in high amounts and interfere with the absorption of nutrients. All right, guys, I hope that I nailed my point home, All right, so I hope that I've proven, and I hope that you can use this against vegans next time they try and make you feel bad while you're eating animals. We're eating animals because it's unethical not to, because it doesn't supply the human body what it needs. Therefore, it is not ethical to make our species sick because we feel bad that we have to eat animals. What we need to do is to reform animal agriculture, to make sure that these animals are eating their diet that they're made to eat that they're made to eat in nature. Make sure that they're outside. Make sure that they have in a way, a good life. Make sure that those ruminants are out in the fields, grazing, shitting on and pissing on the soil, replenishing the soil. This is sustainable agriculture, okay? We need animals. We need to eat them, and we do need to respect and take care of them, guys. I'm not saying that currently the way we're treating them is acceptable. That being said, if you think that plant agriculture is, innocent, it's not. First of all, we cut down forests. We cut down natural habitats for these animals where they live and where they eat. We decide we want fields of soya here. So we come in with our bulldozers and we plow the shit out of the whole forest. We displace the animals if we're not already just trampling over with the bulldozers. These animals lose their home, these animals lose the natural vegetation, and they starve if they're not being poisoned by trying to drink water, but it's contaminated by pesticides. All right, so what's the difference between me eating one cow, okay, and I go out of my way to buy it local to make sure that it's grass-fed and make sure that it was slaughtered humanely. I kill one cow and I have beef for a year. But the vegans want their Beyond Burgers. What they're not realizing is that's made with plant agriculture. And with plant agriculture, there's tens and hundreds of thousands globally of animals that are getting mulched up during the harvest. Okay, so they're getting displaced, they are starving, they're getting poisoned, and on top of it, there's tons of animals also dying just to get the grain because the harvesters unfortunately mulch up fucking animals. Okay, so if a vegan is that, evolved, what's the difference between the nervous system and the sentient being of a cow compared to a rat or a squirrel or all the other animals that get stuck in the harvester? There should be no difference. If you actually do the math, and people have done the math, there's more death caused, or just as substantially, there's just as much death that's occurring with any kind of agriculture to feed our faces. And that's just the truth, guys. So keep that in mind, that the planting crops, okay, just suck minerals and nutrients out of the soil, and then we go eat them. If you go back to nature, which we should be looking at, we had animals grazing. We should be pushing our animals to eat a natural diet that is appropriate for them. They should be outside grazing, and that should replenish the soil, okay? So in conclusion, guys, that's why I would answer that it's ethical to eat meat. It's unfortunate that we have to kill animals to survive, but we do, because relying solely on plant-based nutrition, I hope I've proven to you, that puts us in danger of many deficiencies and is not our natural diet. Therefore, it's unethical to push veganism on to the rest of the world. You can do it if it's your choice for the animals, but don't start brainwashing people and start saying that animal source nutrition is diseased and that plants are awesome. They're